Hello, I'm not a police officer, I'm not a criminal, I'm not a doctor. I caught them, they caught, originally still, they're recorded and confessed, demonstrated, intercities, intercampuses, crime rules, identity theft racket rules against everyone. This is tied to a method keeping everyone, this outcome by having everyone speak through others and that being valued by various natures of courts, originally still criminally used. Then they have to hide live aggressions, criminal uses of words like crimes as torture methods. They're recorded consciously knowing we have criminally foreign influence statutes, fact treatment, value nature treatments. They're valuing exploitation of areas sickly distinctly to hide how not sickly non-distinctly. How they are sickly distinctly hiding it is recorded involved with actually what is causing and maintaining outcomes of shootings in areas with a lot of shootings. This is a breaching method that was entrenched here since before our founders' births, maintaining it through nations individually grouped and together sick, fake sides. This is a method of exploiting how our identity nature. Each identity of value has a relationship to the rest of nature as a simultaneously as a complete nature of value as a simultaneously as an unceasingly as a semi-nature relationship to the perfect value progression. See, but we're not having science afforded free speech per science with the phenomenon of titles. In other words, that's an outcome with identity. This is each identity has A on the left side of it and W on the right side of it. To as a scientific means to explain the identity of relationship we have to the identity that generated physical matter, that is gaining its own value, its own nature of volume through the generation of physical matter, which the value of the ground, distinctly and non-distinctly as Earth's individual value, it is simultaneously as a grouped and as all identities of value progression together, bonded by one identity of relationship to themselves, still a semi-nature of its complete self, which science reveals. But we have people making opinions about other people violently, and then that requires a nature of demonstration of those people ill, fake, interbranch. These are various natures of courts involved with crimes on off the end of the locations at the end of the Roland Turnpike with a police chief and with a whole bunch of people associated with him criminally with a house in my area, with people also that are federal criminal code defendants of a former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, with people that are also recorded confessed identity theft crime acts roles, facilitated intercampuses I went to through time as the ones tied to when I was in grammar school. There's a grammar school up the street, not far from me, like a mile away from me, has recorded and confessed further child sex offenders tied to a proven child sex offender with more associate principal leader of it. So they forced that at first by lying about me when I called to complain, tied confessions. I didn't even get to the rest of it. Then they arrested me, didn't let me speak for 6 months, tortured me, attached me to fake words, and they confessed and recorded other crime roles with boxing spots, which they had been involved with before that, preventing me from demonstrating. Because they have a Dillon family. They have retired and standing judges and police forms with the police chief, all criminal uses of houses in my area. These are people that are juxtaposed with roles with foreign and domestic military, criminally involved with them, with federal crimes, with people with WFSB, with Fox Connecticut News, a long time on and off West Hartford, like West Farms Mall, locations on and off CCSU, on and off Trinity College, facilitated the identity theft crime acts roles with them, offensive evidence reception crimes, crimes of the time where they're pretending to that what they have they try to look into things with integrity knowing they don't. So we have many natures of courts and their state judicial branch offices also involved criminally with WFSB, how they have other nations criminally involved with them. A whole bunch of doctors with psychology, with drugs, with physical delusions and criminal foreign influences, crime rolls with other nations like Russia, shared criminal uses of fire departments, houses next to them, locations like this, wire crime methods, mail crime methods, online crime methods, all juxtaposed. Then these are as a fact cheating nature racket records, record. So they'll pretend they have been originally and still using the right to lie criminally, quoting sub rules of statutes that are like some kind of a magic trick that some magician buys so he can impress an audience. But they're doing it for a criminal trick with evidences, reception. With evidences, rackets. They already been treated. They already been crime rolls with. They can't treat the most critical issues, but as native through their fake victim predators. That's why we have elderly homes where they say, "Oh, that's all we could afford." That's why we have the pathology of infrastructure forced since before cars to be this. Hartford and Wethersfield, the exact same way it was forced to be. If anyone, this was entrenched here, breaching organized crime methods since before our founders' births. If anyone was found out to have been speaking about building anything other outside of internation monitored database relationships. This is how they kept nations individually grouped together, suits and ties, counters as identities, as victims, because the whole states and areas came through scientists, criminally foreign influence. Roles with line progressions to each area, roles needing each age of correlation nature blocked from its simultaneously inherent active and progressive means, tied to tactically the nature of relationships to nature. Throughout the modern world, in valuing zoning laws, a pathology of infrastructure, again, forced to be the pathology since before cars. It's insane to say that Hartford, Connecticut, pretend they had legal representation, let alone, to pretend that Wethersfield, Connecticut had righteous elections. We had criminally foreign influenced elections. We had crime rolls interbranch with that. They don't have judicial independence. They're crime acting with the other branches of government. The FBI is criminally, so they have impressions of the FBI that are maintained criminally foreign influence because they're using fake news for this. Because they're using how the states and areas are entrenched with these identities in law, originally still criminally foreign influence. Then the defenses of faction justifications of that, valuing roles within as that needs to keep presidents native with them. Obama never had free speech. Now, if he would like to, I'm sure he wouldn't. I don't think he would try to pretend to. And now he would. Modern people, presidents would say they would. They're victim predators. There's no justification for what we've had play out because of our fact-cheating nature, quality let play out. We have mandated law to prevent it. We have interbranch racket. What is it called? Slander rackets. Fake news with the fake news. WFSB, fix your fake news. These are crimes with the kids. These are people using fake righteous justice, aggressions on the kids. These are people using fake care with them simultaneously. Misprison. A whole bunch of liars, fake styles, fake different styles, fake sides of correlation nature. No response. When you go into courts, they're forging names and switching names. These courts have been highly criminally involved, using that as a sick weapon for a long time. Not alone. That's the problem. We have other nations that, and military, intermilitary, regardless they like those nations or not, their crime acts rolls with them. Was led up to and in the Trade Center attack context and investigating it since. There's a Justin Klevinsky, a whole bunch of people tied to that, him with identity theft crime acts with judges and with various natures of police, foreign and domestic military. Crime Acts roles with WFSB, with criminal policing of the internet, criminal takes on on people's sensibilities, criminal. That's more worse than a monopoly. How they have the online platforms policed and used for identity theft with interbranch drug clicks with child sex offenders, stealing people's identities. Get off my name! They also pretend I yelled at people because I had to lie about the context I yelled in to hide the crime rules with kids in my area, with this Dillon family, and with the principal sex offenders campus then, and now further still. Various natures of courts, especially probably court their families through time, pretending to have conversations with me, pretending me to fake locations with the Superior Court, too, the Britain Superior Court. A lot of people tied to that court reported, confessed, and demonstrated through time, criminally involved with houses in my area, with identity theft, with their extended relatives, pretending me to fake locations with fake conversations that I never were at all. These are people involved Crime Acts rules with the transition from ACA to RICO, with criminal uses of forensics in their roles with various natures of police and then in courts, their treatment of evidences, criminally foreign influence, their roles with all tied to them like prisons, hiding their live progressions in crime roles with areas. Cindy Hook, the investigators, the judges, the courts involved with that, with the sensibilities of those victims, of the families, recorded using that to hide their crime acts roles with other campuses, child campuses, and like an O'Brien family, involved with a Phil Cololo, with a Kerr family, with other people recorded and confessed with the Britain Superior Court, long time criminally involved with houses in my area, with crime acts roles with Trinity College, with CCSU, predicate acts, fake arresting officers, switching officers' names, doing that crime acts rules with the people in the court, with the judges, sequence shifting, switching names, preventing people from counters to their tortures. Their crime acts rules with that as a fact-keeping nature racket with torture since before they pretended to be for that, for for other reasons, so they could pretend they didn't realize they were for it since before. They have the Trade Center attack, crime acts rules, fake sites facilitated to them through the roles with Washington, D.C. Trade Center maintained intercity criminal foreign influences. Interstates from internation maintain this outcome. We have shared policing at CCSU long time with Puerto Rico, with Mexican prisons and stuff like that, criminal justice system, suits and ties, intercampuses, database relationships, especially with psychology, real sick with overt criminal enterprises. The same way there and here. So they are fake sites. That's one of their way of keeping fact keeping nature, originally and still. That's what had color with the law, originally and still used like that. Then they have, that's a real legal term too, color of the law. They can't even address that because they're still involved with with the law used as means to prevent our American history from being understood. We have a breaching influenced intercampuses relationships. We have interbranch families originally and still pretending, they're going by charts of jobs. They're with physical delusions regarding their evaluation of fact-keeping nature quality. And it's worse than that because those are they have criminally foreign influence, fact-keeping nature quality, self-valued. That can't afford our history told. True. I can't afford what is actually recorded to be known about American history told. This is about American history is about organized crime method. The same way other nations' histories are about this method. That was entrenched since before their founders' births. But using how we have nations grouped, self-valuing roles where you can't defend. And also at the same time, here and there. Fake. So we have Hartford Hospital recorded and confessed and by WFSB, involved with them with crimes with areas with child sex offenders and with Fox CT. They have a whole bunch of people with the name Joe D. I don't know if they're all Joe DeMoros, but they use the name Joe D. And they have women with the name Alicia, interstates with involved criminally, and internation with Italian police, with Mexican families, with like a Scalora family, recorded confessed crimes with the FBI and with CIA, with child sex offenders with that, or involved in a principal sex offenders campus, were involved further criminally with houses next to them. And that's with people with crime acts roles, with identity thefts, federal crimes on and off campuses with other houses next to campuses. And their recorded uses of this, recorded manifest. See, we have to follow the news and follow mandated law. When someone makes an allegation, they're pretending things are just allegations criminally. They're pretending, that people are trying to not. They're pretending not to realize that they're faking, pretending things are recorded by police that are not. In other words, the police are telling the media to pretend things are recorded that never were, and they're knowing this and not letting that reported. And the judges are doing this with them, retired and standing. Women judges, more than three of them that have climax roles, women with their court, with child sex offenders, other natures of crimes with them first. Stealing my identity and not letting people tell on it, using their own kids, investing them deeper and deeper into branch family members. The police chief's kids, daughter, and their kids are involved with a Mazzucato family, also involved with online policing crimes, identity theft crime acts roles, with their mouths, verbal federal crime acts roles, drug crime roles with kids, crimes with fake news, with the Mayano family, with the New Britain Superior Court, other natures of courts, like probate courts involved with them criminally, Hartford Superior Court involved with them criminally, intercities through time. In a straight line since New Britain, since before the Trade Center attack, and then in this Trade Center attack, and since I've been trying to report things, they've been threatening me not to, and typing other forging names, switching names, attaching me and everyone to fake words. These are crime acts rules with foreign and domestic military, like Kuwaiti military. People involved with interbranch crimes with their prison cliques, with the families of their prison cliques, with sexual circles, with drug crimes, with crime roles with the kids, with the stewards of the kids, like DCF, sexual circles involved with drug cliques, with crimes with media, crimes with courts, crimes with kids, with the child offenders. They only let realized counters, not by accident. These are people that are conforming everyone to name roles or hurting them. They're maintaining each age of fact-cheating nature used as a tool to hide the life progressions from the criminally foreign influence states and areas, intercities, on top of each individual body of value. Each. That's where value comes from, is individual rights. Who fights? This is where we win. This is where we win. Force my response. See Renaissance. They're lying about my behavior too. So they can go, oh, who would not agree? This, and they have all the fake speak. And they don't let them demonstrate that. So they're lying about passions, emotions they can't handle, and they force glorified fake passions, emotions. They pretend they care about group rights, so they can prevent, because they're recorded using each of these groups, like black, white, sexual orientation. Those groups are being used as weapons when someone needs to report how people are lying with the kids, how people are using interbranch kids involved crimes with overt criminal enterprises, other nations' police forms, all that private with that shared police that you can't pretend to be policing that and be worthy of anything as police. We have private originally still that you can defend in the Constitution at the same time. State scenarios are entrenched with religions, interreligious, so they get criminal uses of them, because they're only using them to pretend people are present, because that's a part of the rules. With the organized crime method, keeping everyone blaming other things, others themselves for the real cause of negative value, nature, progression, acts, and nature. No integrity of legal, fact-checking nature, quality. Way worse. Let's all rehearse. Now follow mandated law. Fix the fake news, WFSB, Fox CT. and let's get a response for your crime acts roles, with many associated with the Joe D. And recorded confessed with police crimes with you guys, with wire crimes, mail crimes, crimes with shipping police, policing of that on off the state police, on off Trinity College, on off the locations at the end of the Berlin Turnpike, criminally involved with a Dr. Shu, with his wife, his kids, involved with a probate court with them, and with superior courts with them, police forms on off in locations on off WFSB with Rocky Hill Athletic Center and another place in my town tied to that, tennis places where foreign and domestic military and police forms are associated with what keeps them criminally foreign influence together, and crime rolls with that, with maintain manifest private natures of crime that are juxtaposed. Like they're pretending to be against parents, um, bribing their kids into college or whatever like that, as a way to pretend to be again. This is layered with intercampuses already through time. This is all victim predators with opinion natures preventing mandated law, which is the only thing that can free us. Because we have the former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, involved with these fake news through the administrations. They hid this from presidents because they have judged the way they keep the judges and their family members and all of them tied to the courts. Crime acts rolls with evidence reception offensively, criminally, federal crimes with wire. They're lying about when they speak to people. They're pretending things recorded into databases into branch. These are fake people. That's what regarding color, what forced color, a breaching organized crime method that was with color involved with it. There's a whole bunch of knave law natures defending roles with that, and that identity of the ground, relationship to itself, value progression, leads to IDs, they value. Attend. Campus Marcy's calls you home again. So we have Connecticut campuses further involved. Like Yale is further recorded and confessed involved with intercampus English department, modern languages, CCSU, all the departments. The science departments at Trinity College, CCSU, involved with military families involved with systems that are attached to hospitals and stuff like that because of the way they have chemicals and things like that. But they also attach to them because of the way they've been using the anomaly with how we have a whole bunch of nations with psychology that is shared crime method roles there and here, the same methods, just different ways of using it, pretending it's natural, but it's criminally foreign influence states and areas on top of individual rights and between the species connected longing and those individuals from demonstrating, which preventing us from connecting the active positive longing way beyond these means from tactically forced, denatured since before cars, pathology of infrastructure relationships, means to afford it, means to reach for resources through private, even united negative. It's going to be means to reach for it to cause more negative value nature progression. To reach and for the Earth's resource, we can't take it all from. We have to take it from everywhere at once. The rocks, the minerals, and things we need like that. It's all there, but it's all spread out. We have to take it from a spread out way. We have to be united as a species, nature, or volume now to counter. We need forgiveness for this. See, we have offensive fake hate, fake passions, fake righteous justice interbranch because they need to keep the nature of communications vile and while pretending to be other. So they pretend to be against speech that is hateful to groups because these are constantly people preventing individual rights, preventing individual areas and positions from being voiced. See how we have people who have the whole bunch of foundations in their homes started breaking down right about now. This is in value nature systems originally instilled that keep individuals grouped together, everyone not being able to afford anything but a pathology inside what it and as what is tactically denatured and only good through comparison. We're a tactically denatured relationship to nature's relationship to itself that causes positive value nature progressions, specifically to maintain negative value nature progressions, acts in nature, specifically to maintain them by other things other than selves, specifically to maintain that self value, specifically to exploit perpetually the standing life progression cover up nature's valuing that, and people associated with that who will hide it. We have no truth tellers. We have a whole bunch of nations that are fake sides. Then they're valuing how they have differences between North Korea and America, for example, and other nations at the surface levels, because they share South Korea and America, Vietnam. They share roles with psychology that is used to keep glorified fact-cheating nature convictions of fact-cheating nature value with areas and states and with individual value, group value that you can't defend, and also at the same time humanity. We have no legal representation. We have worse. Humanity is a nature of volume that is its own identity. They're forcing suits and tie nations, fake identities. They value with that within us that they value hurt between groups, and that's maintained. So specifically for the fact-cheating nature racket, specifically to have pseudo-identities defended, because that's what causes negative value nature progression action nature. Every value has an A on the left side, it has W on the left side of it, to teach about how our nature is the nature of volume, as the nature of volume. That's why we all need clean water. We have a system that causes negative or positive or negative value nature progressions that are tactically ulterior from these ones that are semi-nature, a criminal use of how that is an unceasing affect nature relationship to our nature as an effects nature in relationship to its affect as an unceasing affect relationship because it's a perfect value progression. Allah's name was revealed to teach this. It's about the identity the sciences share. And it is about identity as a nature of Allah, as the nature of Allah. That's why the ground is tied to what is manifest as the value of what adds or subtracts as one nature of volume, gaining through what is holding that and holding the value of the bond to earth and a little bit from before it. And this is also what is the manifest value of what it multiplies and divides as another nature of volume, gaining. This trinity has a value/value nature relationship to itself. Value as nature as a trinity. That's the extent of positive we are in, which is a gaining extent, but it'll always gain from what is started after one, one position of leverage. I use these words, and these words come up online, they come up in the media, with the theater, because there's the same news networks are tied to database crimes, and they're needing to hide live progressions because they have fake news. They have crime acts roles with the Trade Center. They have crime acts roles with that, how that's to Washington, D.C., Trade Center tied manifest intercampuses through time. Then they use that for crime acts with the criminal interbranch need to hide live progressions. So they make criminal uses of the campuses facilitated for this. Facilitated with all like juxtaposed to other motivations, needs, and interests to hide the same finite, active, and progressive lies, to hide the same identity theft, crime acts roles maintained, self-valued by all the identities of the ground position, especially ones tied to, where there are shootings in the areas near the colleges. This is per their roles with interages of campuses maintained. Like when I was in grammar school, there was a different principal, and I'm sure he wasn't involved with sexual harassment or sexual abuses of kids in upskirt natures like the new principal at his school, but his daughter was a part of the school at the time. And she was facilitating the climax roles with that, with the guy who was involved with that. With more police recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved, also with more people with the courts, even with female judges, climax roles with them, females with the courts, forging, switching names, fake falsified police reports, sticking stuff into databases, attaching kids to fake relationships to others, fake locations through time into databases. Then they exploit that through time. These are people with Washington D.C. Trade Center, but also New York City. Other ways, we have undercover that is shared police, foreign and domestic, real sick fakes that are pretending their rights to lie are only that, but they're using it for way worse. We must all rehearse. Pretend. I call you home again. Campus train. So we have to deal with WFSB because they're also reported confessed involved with a whole bunch of people from my town, interbranch, foreign and domestic, military involved, criminally involved with West Farms Mall through time. I don't understand the depth of it, but these are also the people with the Trade Center Crime Max roles and with the sequence shift. Crime Max roles with clicks with the sequence shift inside the Ninth Circuit right before the Trade Center context showed a panel of judges falsified police, post dated to appear late documents that have been time stamped on time before to appear before the judges were in the Trade Center attack contact. Okay, so I want to thank you. We want to get a response because they've been using Facebook for election crimes too. There's also a Joshua Julian and is a Fienza family recorded and confessed further with FBI and with CIA, with houses on and off these campuses currently involved with their family members with identity thefts, falsified police reports, crime acts and cases, further criminal uses of courts tied to the sequence shifting post dated from inside the Ninth Circuit proven. That proven led to a 2006 Connecticut District Court case with defendant, former director of the FBI, and federal criminals, co-defendants of his that were involved with the crimes in my area, with extended family members of them, with identity thefts, like a Phil Cololo, and with people involved with fake news crime acts with them, and medical crime acts with children and child sex offenders, drug crime rolls, crimes with database through time, identity theft crime acts rolls, fake conversations with me. They in sustained ways lie to each age of factory nature. Boys, girls, they're exploiting them simultaneously, sickly, distinctly and non-distinctly. Here, each city, the same thing.